Hello and welcome back everyone to Space Simulation Toolkit, and a lot of you have asked me to do testing between different materials and shapes of shells without going insane and making it a useless, simulation by throwing it at, like, the sun. That's probably a good idea, and I'm just going to name this wall. I've created a very simple wall, top and bottom pinned so it doesn't just go flying. We've got the rock in the beginning, which should be easy for a projectile to get through, but the steel at the end should be a little bit more challenging if it gets this far. Then I increased the max velocity to 500, and I got rid of the cooling effect of height. So this should be a pretty good simulation spot to just start. Just start, see what happens. The first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to create a variety of just circular shells we're gonna test. I've heard that plant actually is more effective as a weapon than I would initially assume, but we'll see about that. This is very simple. We just take all four and we just chuck them in the same direction, and we can actually side by side watch exactly what goes down here, which is useful. We can go frame by frame. So I'm expecting, obviously, the steel projectile to go the furthest. But I actually, knowing the physics of this game, the stone one's probably going to create more heat on impact. Alright, so we have the steel is definitely penetrating more. The stone, like I said, actually created more heat. It actually looks like it cracked a little bit further in. The dirt projectile just died, and the plant projectile bounced off. Actually, the stone may have done more damage. Interesting. Okay. Very interesting. We're already getting interesting results. I really thought the metal projectile would do significantly more damage, but I guess not. Okay, now I want to try something else. I've been doing this in my videos, but I don't know if it's actually as effective as I assume. I've been taking steel projectiles and then filling them with stone for a fragmentation / explosion effect. But is there actually a noticeable difference between the two? I don't know. Let's find out. Alright, we got our two little cannonballs here. Full speed on both of them, and looks like this one's gonna impact first, but we should get some good results out of this. Alright, lots of energy, and not a huge difference, really. I feel like the big difference, though, is if it penetrates and really explodes. So I think the only way to really test this is going to be increasing the maximum velocity a little bit further. So I'm gonna increase it to 750, and we'll rerun that simulation. I don't think these are actually getting enough energy to really show the difference. And actually, let's do a third, because people keep telling me to use plant. So I'm gonna go ahead and do that. Alright, we have our plant-filled shell, we have our stone-filled shell, and we have our normal shell, and we're gonna go ahead and toss them all against the wall. Alright, let's see how this goes. I mean, initially, the additional speed makes a huge difference. Oh, yeah, the plant really is exploding. Look at how far the little plant particles have come out. Way further than either of the other ones. Oh my goodness! I think the plant actually is doing a significant amount of damage just from flying around in there. Just looking at this off the bat, you'll notice that the least damaged one seems to be just the normal shell. I mean, it has the most mass, so I kind of assumed it would do the most damage, but it looks like the other ones on entry just shredded far more. Yeah, overall, definitely far more damage from the top two. I mean, it's not even close. They all kind of broke their way through, but you'll notice that honestly, the most penetration, the most real penetration and damage is actually from the plant shell. Like, the stone-filled shell had a nice explosive impact, which caused a bit of damage, but the plant actually managed to take that and push it almost twice as far into the stone. And the damage far in, it looks a little bit more substantial. And then, like I said, the normal shell, very, very little. So now we're gonna go and obviously scale things up a little bit, because now I'm very interested. I'm very interested in those results. Alright, so what I'm going to do this time is I'm going to make larger, slower projectiles with a little bit more mass. Well, that actually looks pretty good. I think, please don't crash again. Please. Okay, there we go. There we go. I'm just gonna make a whole bunch of them over here. While we aren't crashing from copying and pasting. I think it's a good idea to have a literal arsenal. Okay, now the question becomes, can Spike Viper make these shells a little bit more interesting? He says in the third person. Alright, yeah, the idea is we're going to do something very similar. We're just going to pack in the front of this a payload. We're going to have stone in this one. We're going to have plant in this one. You know, and I'm actually going to do another one. I have an idea, a very interesting idea. I'm adding a fourth shell. And this one is going to actually be a hybrid. I'm gonna put stone. Well, you'll see. You'll see. Watch this. I'm gonna put a stone core. And I'm gonna surround it by that nice, really explosive plant. I have a feeling that one may actually perform better than you would expect, but we'll see. I'm going to modify the simulation set. Actually, 500's enough. That's fine. Okay, and now, ladies and gentlemen, the moment you have been waiting for. All going at the same angle, at the same speed. I'm actually going to spread them out a little bit more. All going at pretty much the same angle. It does look like they got slightly off, but that's okay. I don't think it'll make a huge difference. Alright. This is it. Oh no! Moving them messed it all up. You gotta be kidding me. Be a YouTuber, they said. It'll be fun, they said. There we go. Alright. And we're gonna have impact in 3, 2, 1. First one is impacted. Our wild card here with the combination. Oh, okay, so this one really penetrated. This shell just kind of broke. I think the plant just wasn't solid enough. The purely plant one has exploded with a plant death everywhere. And the solid shell has definitely done some damage. Interesting. So we actually get some really interesting results here. The really custom shell caused a very wide amount of damage. Not deep, but it definitely caused more side-to-side damage than I saw anywhere else. The stone-filled shell went very deep, and it actually sent a crack all the way down to here. The plant-filled shell is actually just kind of fine. It's just got nothing in it. It did a bit of damage, but not nearly as much as the stone one. And the normal shell, kind of more of a jack of all trades. It's a little bit wider. It's not as deep of a fracture as from the stone one, but not as wide as the plant. Huh. Very interesting. Alright. Well, let's go ahead and fix the wall as best we can. Clean up some of the debris. And let's test a few more things. Alright, so I'm going to test some fun things now. First off, I'm going to make one of these sharper. Like a very, very sharp shell. And I'm going to test the exact opposite too. I'm going to do a square flattened head. And I'm going to do a pin, kind of like you'd see in an anti-tank round. Alright, these three shapes will be a lot of fun, actually. I'm going to give them all the stone core, because it seems that that is just the best for breaching. Alright. And I'm also going to raise the maximum speed a tiny bit to 600. Alright. The question is, which shape is going to win? Place your bets in the comments down below. I have a feeling the simulation isn't rigid enough for this to actually do anything, but I'd be happy to be proven wrong. Alright. I think this one's going to cause the widest damage. This one's going to penetrate the furthest. I think those are obvious guesses. This one, I have no clue what's going to happen. I feel like I need to change the rigidity set. Oh yeah, look at that. Look at the penetration of that. Beautiful. It is curving a little bit, but man, is it doing damage. Oh my god, never mind. The pin actually managed to breach. I thought it wasn't going to be rigid enough, but really it managed. Wow, and it's kind of carved a path for the rest of the shell. I wasn't expecting quite that much of an effective change. This shell's already sunk all the way in, so the shape made a huge difference. This one tilted a bit on impact. But this, the pin, look at the penetration. Look at how it did so much more damage with the pin. Wow. I'm actually shocked. I mean, sure, it didn't do nearly as much damage as the just larger, I mean, it is a little bit larger, the pointed one, but I'm actually very shocked that the pin managed to actually get in. I thought it was just gonna flop over. Oh man, that's really neat. I wouldn't count all of this because this is just a result of this part going to the right, causing the crack to extend, but that initial crack definitely could be attributed to the design of the shell. Wow. That is actually very interesting. I did not expect that kind of result. I guess I'm going to have to to rethink some of my designs here, and also it's relatively undamaged. You know what? I'm gonna try something a little bit different. I'm going to invert. I'm gonna invert the design of the shell. I'm quite curious. Instead of a steel shell around a payload, I'm going to do a stone shell, which will then break and release a core made of metal. Actually, I don't like the size of that. One's not. I'm gonna redo this. There we go. We're gonna kind of maybe half and half like that. Yeah. Because our initial designs always do the metal on the outside. But having stone on the outside means that the stone will kind of break off and allow the metal core to pass. So I'm curious if we get a big difference. And let me also increase this to 650. Alright, here we go. Ladies and gentlemen. Oh, I did not mean to zoom out that far. Or in that far. Alright, let's see what happens. Alright, initial impact. They're both doing about what I would expect. Definitely more heat generated by the second shell. This one is deforming, kind of merging in. Wow, it actually shot off a part of the shell. It split and half of the shell kept going. Whereas the stone one did much wider damage. I mean, you can definitely see that where it damaged definitely went wider, but it did not go nearly as far. So yeah, I guess if I were to want to choose from the two, I mean, if you want to limit the depth of the damage, one of these shells actually limits how far the damage goes, and it actually made a very square impact. But no, the metal surrounded shell just penetrated all the way through. So that kind of tells you what you need to know. Alright, thank you for watching. If you want to see more testing like this, give me some ideas in the comments below, and I will see you all next time. Peace out. Like, subscribe, join Valor.gg. Join Valor.gg.